My poor English speaking. This is the story of the poorest girl who has nothing but hope and courage, so let's watch it together through my mouth. My name is Linda, and I come from a small town in India. I am the eldest of 4 sisters. After my father passed away suddenly, everything in my life changed. I was still young, but there was no time to cry or ask questions. My mother became handicapped after falling from the stairs, and she could not move on her own. There was no brother in my family, no other support, no income, and no one to guide us. I had no choice but to become the head of the house. Every morning, I woke up with one mission: to find a way to earn and bring food home. I did not have a strong education. Most of what I had learned was in a local language. I could read and write a little English, but when it came to speaking, I couldn't say much. I used to feel scared even to say, "Good morning." I knew my poor English was a wall between me and every opportunity, but I still kept trying. I would wear the only decent dress I had and walk miles to reach company offices. I stood in long lines for interviews. I visited government departments again and again. I knocked on doors of shops and local businesses. I even asked to clean, or type, or help. But they all asked the same question: "Can you speak English?" My answer always broke me, because I couldn't speak it well. I knew what to say in my heart, but no words came out from my mouth. Some interviewers were polite. They said, "Sorry, not a good fit." Others laughed. One even said, "If you don't know English, how can you work in today's world?" Their words cut me like a knife. I wanted to scream, "But I can learn. Please give me a chance." But no one listened. Day after day, I returned home with tears in my eyes and no food in my hands. At home, things were worse. My mother needed medicine and care, but we didn't have money. My sisters looked at me with hungry eyes, hoping I would bring back something. But there was nothing. I tried sewing clothes, helping neighbors, and even selling vegetables, but that didn't help much. On top of it all, people started talking. "She's getting old. Who would marry a girl like her? She can't even feed herself." Their words felt heavier than my poverty. There were nights I cried in silence. I felt useless, ashamed, and tired of being poor and rejected. I asked myself again and again, why is English so important? Why can't someone see my struggle? But deep inside, something small was still alive. A hope. A voice that said, "You are not finished yet." I looked at my sisters and mother and made a promise to myself. I will not let this be the end. If no one is ready to help me, I will help myself. I had no job, no income, but I had one idea. I was ready to take one more risk, no matter how small it was. And that was the beginning of something new. Linda had no savings, no job, and no clear path ahead. But what she had was a deep need to survive. Her mother needed medicine, her sisters needed food, and she herself needed hope. So one evening, she sat outside with an old notebook and listed the only thing she knew how to do with her hands: cook. She had watched YouTube videos when she had internet once. She remembered a few easy burger recipes and how people enjoyed street food. With courage in her heart, she knocked on a distant relative's door and asked for a small loan. The relative didn't believe much in her, but gave her a little money out of pity. With that, Linda bought some simple ingredients, a small stove, and a few paper boxes. She set up a roadside stall under a tree. Her hands burned from the heat. Her feet ached from standing. The weather didn't care. Hot sun, sometimes rain, sometimes dust in her eyes. Some customers were kind. Some laughed at her broken English when she tried to say things like, "Do you want spicy?" or "Take extra ketchup." But she smiled through the pain. Every evening she cleaned her tiny space, counted coins, and kept a little aside, not just for food or home, but for something more. One afternoon, while returning from the market, she passed by a language center. A big board hung outside with the words, "Speak English. Change your life." Linda stood there for a moment. She read those words again. Something clicked in her heart. That was it. She didn't know how or when, but she knew she had to learn English if she wanted to truly change her life. A few days later, she walked into the academy with the money she had saved. She was nervous. Her palms were sweaty, but the receptionist was kind and told her about a 6-month spoken English course. Linda joined it the same week. Her routine became tougher than ever. She woke up early to buy fresh ingredients. She cooked, sold burgers all day, then rushed to class in the evening. At night, after her sisters slept and her mother rested, she sat in the corner of their small room and repeated new words, practiced sentences, and listened to old recordings. She made many mistakes. Once she said, "I am bore" instead of "I am bored," and the class laughed. Another time she couldn't remember how to say "order" when asking a customer what they wanted. But she didn't stop. Slowly, she learned. Slowly, her words made sense. Slowly, she started answering in class, raising her hand, even helping others. She wasn't fluent yet, but something inside her had changed. She was not afraid to speak now. Her voice was soft but steady. Her dream was no longer just to survive. It was to grow, to transform, and to be heard. Near the end of her course, one of her teachers said, "You should try speaking with real foreigners. It will help you even more." Linda thought about it for days. She had no idea how to find foreigners in her town. But then, someone in her class mentioned an American-based call center hiring support agents. They needed people who could handle calls, understand accents, and reply clearly. Linda didn't think she was ready, but something inside her whispered, "Try." After completing her 6-month English course, Linda still felt unsure. She had learned many new words, practiced grammar, and improved her speaking, but deep down, fear still lived in her. She was not fluent like native speakers, and sometimes her voice shook while speaking. But there was something stronger than her fear now, her hope. She knew that if she wanted to change her life, she had to take bold steps. So, she applied for a job at an American-based call center. On the day of the interview, Linda wore her old but neatly pressed dress. She stood in line with many other candidates, most of whom seemed more confident, better dressed, and fluent. Her palms were sweaty and her heart beat fast. She wanted to run away, but she didn't. When her name was called, she walked in with courage. The manager asked her questions in English. She answered slowly but clearly. She didn't use fancy words, but she was honest and tried her best. After the interview, she walked out thinking she wouldn't be selected. But 2 days later, she received a call that changed everything. She was hired. The job wasn't easy at all. She had to talk to people from the United States, handle customer complaints, and explain services. On her first day, she made several mistakes. One customer couldn't understand her accent, and another became angry. She felt embarrassed and even cried during her lunch break. But she didn't give up. Every night she listened to American podcasts and repeated what she heard. She practiced greetings, learned new phrases, and watched English videos to improve her understanding. Slowly, she started doing better. She learned to control her tone, use polite expressions, and build confidence. Her team leaders noticed her improvement and encouraged her. Linda began to enjoy her job. For the first time, she didn't feel small. She was no longer that girl who was rejected because of her English. She was becoming a clear, confident speaker. Working at the call center also gave her something she never had before: daily practice. Speaking English every day helped her become fast and fluent. She learned how to handle stress, answer quickly, and stay calm even with difficult people. Her salary was not very high, but it was enough to buy good food for her family and some medicine for her mother. Each time she helped a customer and heard a thank you, it felt like a small victory. After 1 full year, Linda had changed in many ways. She had grown strong, patient, and wise, but something inside her kept whispering, "This is not the final stop." She wanted to do more. She remembered how hard it was to find someone to help her when she was struggling to learn English. She thought, what if I can be that someone for others? That thought grew every day like a small seed turning into a strong plant. Linda didn't want to just speak English. She wanted to teach it. And not just teach it, but make it possible. For people like her, poor, rejected, and ignored, to stand up and shine. That was the start of a new dream. She left her job at the call center, not because she was tired, but because she was ready. Ready to become a teacher. Linda had never thought she would one day teach English. Just a few years ago, she couldn't even introduce herself properly. But now, after completing her English course and working at the call center, she had something precious: confidence. She saved every bit of her salary, cutting down on her own needs, and with that money, she rented a small room on the corner of a busy street. She cleaned it herself, placed some second-hand chairs, and wrote a signboard. Learn to speak English with confidence. At first, only 2 or 3 students joined. They came shyly, unsure if someone like Linda could help them. But Linda wasn't just teaching them words. She was teaching them hope. She told them, I was once in your place. I didn't know how to say even a sentence. But if I can do it, you can too. Her simple words touched their hearts. Her way of teaching was easy and friendly. She made learning feel possible. The students began to enjoy her class, and slowly they improved. Their English improved, they told their friends. Their friends told others. In just a few months, Linda's little classroom started to get full. She couldn't handle all the students alone, but she had an idea. Some of her early students had now become really good in English. She trained them even more. She helped them speak with confidence, just like she had learned in the call center. Then, she gave them a chance to teach with her. This small step changed everything. Now, Linda's Academy had a team. She was not just a teacher. She was a leader. She turned her students into teachers. Together, they helped many boys and girls who were once afraid to speak. The classroom grew bigger. Linda moved to a better place. She bought a whiteboard, better chairs, and some computers. It wasn't a fancy place, but it was full of energy and dreams. As more students joined, Linda's earnings increased, but she didn't use the money for luxury. She had another dream now. She had seen many children in her area who didn't go to school. Their parents had no money. Linda thought, why not start a school? A place where kids can get good education from the beginning. With her savings and a small loan, Linda started working on her next goal, a school from primary to higher education. She wanted it to be a place where children could not only study, but also build their future. It took time. She had to fight many problems, rules, money, space, but she didn't stop. After many months, the school finally opened. It was not big, but it was honest. Students came, teachers joined, and Linda stood in front of it all, smiling. From a scared girl who couldn't speak English, she had become a strong woman building a future for others. But Linda's journey didn't stop here. She had more dreams. And just as she once rose from nothing, she was now ready to change even more lives. Life was never easy for Linda, but step by step, she kept walking. With the income from her academy and school, Linda decided to take another step forward. She started learning about online work and slowly began selling small products on Amazon. At first, she didn't know much. She watched free videos, read articles, and made mistakes. But just like learning English, she kept going. Bit by bit, she started earning. It wasn't fast, and it wasn't magic. It was her will, her patience, and her hard work. Now, she was finally able to admit her mother into a good hospital. For the first time in many years, her mother received proper treatment, medicines, and care. Seeing her mom getting better made Linda cry, not from pain, but from relief. Her mother slowly started recovering. It was slow, but it was happening. Linda would often sit beside her bed, holding her hand and smiling softly, whispering, "We made it, Mama." With her growing income, Linda arranged weddings for her younger sisters, Lucy and Alaska. She didn't have a big house or gold, but she gave them the most important gift: respectable lives and kind husbands. Their smiles on their wedding days were her reward. In this journey, one day, a businessman came to meet her at her academy. He had heard about her story through a student. He wanted to see the woman who had turned a life full of rejection into a life of inspiration. They started talking. She was shy at first, but over time, they developed a bond. He didn't love her because she was rich or beautiful. He loved her for her strength, for her honesty, for her story. They married quietly in the presence of her students, mother, and close friends. There were no grand lights or rich decorations, just pure love. But even after marriage, Linda didn't leave her home. Her mother was now better, but Linda wanted to stay with her. Her husband supported her decision. They built a small life together, right where all the struggle had once lived. Today, Linda's name is known in her town, not as the poor girl with broken English, but as the strong woman who speaks like a native and teaches like a leader. Thousands of students come to her academy. She gives free lessons to poor girls, who remind her of her younger self. She often says to them, "You may feel small now, but your words can change your world." Linda's story is real. She didn't fly to another country. She didn't wait for someone to save her. She fought with what she had. Her strength was not money. It was the decision to learn. And you? Yes, you reading this? If Linda can do it, so can you. Speak, learn, fall, try again. Speak better. Grow stronger. Do you feel inspired by Linda's journey? Then be like her. Start learning. Start speaking. Don't wait for perfect English. Start with your heart. Comment below what you liked about the story. Like it if it touched your heart. Share it with someone who needs hope. And don't forget to subscribe to English Tone, where stories speak and English grows.